Welcome to the Photography Opinion Podcast. We discuss all things photo, video, and camera related. I'm Ben Lucas.
And I'm Stuart Marlantis.
And this is Photo Op. Welcome to the 75th Annual Hunger Games, and as we enter the quarter quell, we have a special podcast episode for you. Just kidding, but this is our 75th podcast episode. Can you believe that we've been doing it for 75 episodes now?
Well, that's a lot of talking.
It is. So we wanted to bring you just kind of a fun side episode for our 75th special episode. So we are doing a Hunger Games style, just kind of like what is the best thing about photography. So I made a bracket of just 16 things, and we're just gonna randomly pit them together and see who wins.
Yeah.
Who comes out as the winner of just best thing.
Yeah, and I believe we asked listeners to submit some suggestions for this bracket as well, right? So we
did. Roughly half of them are user suggestions.
Awesome. Thank you to those who gave us suggestions.
All right. Without further ado, let's get started. So, first up, Ansel Adams, or having a 10-stop ND filter that has no color shift.
So
what's better?
So does Ansel Adams not exist if I choose the ND filter?
What's better? What's better?
ND filter to me.
ND filter?
Especially lately, yeah.
Yeah. I would say Ansel Adams, but that no color shift.
Yeah, no color shift.
That gets it. Because they really tint kind of this weird green color. So, yeah, no. ND filter with no color shift takes our first spot. All right, next up, we have a gear malfunction or some other mistake creating an amazing photo or idea that you would not have done or thought of otherwise. Or getting a year of free Adobe.
Wow, that's actually really difficult. I think gear malfunction for me, because that's sort of, I don't know, like you can't plan that. Like Adobe,
no, you can't.
Adobe you can begrudgingly plan for, but sort of the divine inspiration of some random cause of events, I feel like I would prefer something like that. That kind of surprises is rare but super treasured, in my opinion.
It is rare but treasured. I really hate gear malfunctions. It's the one thing that makes me steam out the ears like a cartoon. But when something doesn't quite work the way you thought it should, and you create something really cool out of it, as long as you can then replicate the effect. If it's a one-time off, then that sucks. But if you create a mistake and you learn what the mistake is so that you can add it to your toolkit, that is a winner.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so gear malfunction takes our second slot. All right, having a an f 0.95 lens.
Ooh.
Or having a model with flawless makeup that requires no retouching.
Boy. I mean, this is not the best question for me since I shoot people so infrequently.
I will rephrase it for you, Stuart.
Yeah.
If you had a product that was absolutely perfect and pristine, unlike some of the knives that I get sent that are like off the manufacturing line and still have like machining and tool marks and require hours of retouching just to get them up to like base normal. If you had just a perfect subject that required no retouching.
Perfect subject. Yeah.
Versus a 0.95 lens. I can jump in while you're thinking.
Yeah, go for it.
Mine 100% goes to flawless makeup, because if your makeup is so on point that there is not a single blemish or deep pore or anything or like overly caked on makeup, it requires zero retouching on my part. One, super rare. Kudos to you and your makeup artist. But two, I have 1.4 lenses, and I already feel like they're too shallow, and I end up stopping down when I do shallower. So, like, I don't even know what I would do with a shallower lens.
Well, I shoot Sony, so, I don't have any noise in my sensor, even at high ISO. So, I don't need that.
Screw you.
So, yeah, I would say flawless subject. That just saves so much time and hassle. That I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Next up.
I'm not shooting by candlelight, so I don't need 0.95.
Okay, next up, being given a mood board by a client that inspires you, or having full creative control over a paid project.
Always creative control. That's easy. I am that kind of person that wants creative control over everything that I work on. So as far as my personality, I'm like, boom, done. Creative control, I'm sold.
This one's a toss-up for me. I love getting a carefully crafted mood board that I just click with, that inspires me, because then I know what they want, I know what I want, and I know that the end result is going to match the client's expectations and that everyone involved is going to be happy with it. Versus if I have full creative control over a project, maybe I get to make something that I like, but it doesn't always mean they do.
I guess I kind of assumed that creative control means that they approve of your decisions, and I guess if they're not,
that is true.
That throws a wrench in the formula a little bit.
That is true.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm 50-50, but since you're full creative control, we're going to swing it that way.
All right.
But no, I very much love having a good mood board that kind of sets the tone of the shoot, because I just know the shoot's going to be awesome. Versus full creative control, I've had some shoots that turn out amazing and some shoots that turn out absolutely terrible.
It is super nice when the client knows exactly what they want and can give you good direction. But even more than that, I like clients not second guessing me when they're hiring me as the professional. So
that is nice. That is nice. That is true.
That's what swings it for me.
Okay, next up we have winning a photo contest, and I'm assuming this has no prizes because it is versus getting free stuff or a sponsorship deal.
Ooh. I don't know. I like free stuff quite a bit.
Free stuff is nice, but there's also that immense dopamine rush and validation from winning a photo contest.
Yeah, I would say I definitely would say winning the photo contest, although I do like free stuff that is more weirdly, although it's a physical object, it feels more ephemeral emotionally. And so like if you're working in a creative field, like I feel like almost part of people working as creatives, which is kind of a hoity-toity word, part of the reason why they're in that field is because they want that validation. They want people to like and approve of their work on some level.
Very much.
And so, yeah, I think that kind of, I feel like I'd be hard-pressed to find a photographer that wouldn't ultimately prefer that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I've won 4 or 5 photo contests, but I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm like an award-winning photographer, because no one really cares about winning the, Seattle photo walk of 10 people in 2016 type thing. But there is something nice of just like, oh, I submitted a photo, my photos are good. And someone picked that. And I have gotten free stuff, and there's some free stuff that I just kind of like I use and forget about it, but there's other stuff that like I've already sold a couple of the lights that I've gotten for free because I just don't use them.
Yeah, I've gotten more free stuff than I've won contests, so maybe that's what shifts my my thinking. But yeah, I mean, for me, like the contest, ultimately, like the contest doesn't matter to anybody but me in some aspect. Like I would want that validation for myself, and kind of the notoriety I don't really care about. So for being personally fulfilling, I think contest.
Nice. Yeah. All right, winning a photo contest takes the winning spot there.
Cool.
Next up, having the time to go take landscape photos, or owning the gear to be able to take good sports photos.
Oh, time. Time.
Because sports photos require way more expensive gear.
Yeah. I still say time. I've shot sports actually quite a bit in the past. That's kind of like a.
But you can also use that gear to go shoot. But like if you wildlife or
but
something.
If you don't have the time, then it doesn't matter.
That's very true. That is very
right.
I think more time is always going to be the answer. Right? You can always make more money and buy more stuff.
It's like I can have all that sports gear on my shelf over here, but if I don't have time to use it, then what's the point? So yeah, I say time. Having shot sports, I totally like the feel of having like ridiculously expensive gear in your hand, but
You're like, oh, here's an 800 millimeter f2
yeah.
lens. It's a bazooka. But
yeah, I think time for
having
me.
time.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. One of the reasons I don't shoot landscapes, well, one of the reasons is I'm very lazy and like sleeping in, which is antithetical to being a landscape shooter. But yeah, one of the big reasons is it is a huge time investment, and you have to be dedicated to it versus someone hiring me to do a portrait. It's a quick in and out. Their portrait's done.
Yeah,
that's it. You don't need time for that, really.
Good point.
Okay, we're giving this round to landscape photos then.
Cool.
All right, finding a vintage lens at a garage sale for a steal of a deal, or beta testing new lenses from your favorite camera manufacturer.
What do you think? I've responded first the last couple times.
Well, I kind of generally don't care about vintage lenses, so I'm gonna go with beta testing new lenses. But there's also something about vintage lenses have flaws and interests and kind of things to them that make them unique versus what do you get from a new lens of like, if I own a 50mm lens and they come out with a new 50mm lens, maybe I shave a few milliseconds off the autofocus time and the corners are pixel people-y sharper, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a point where gear doesn't really do it for me unless it can fundamentally change the way. Let me put it this way to you. When you play a video game and you unlock a new skill in the skill tree, you're like, yes, I can do that thing. I can access that new area. I have unlocked a huge part of this world that I can go do now. That is very different than unlocking a skill that gives you plus 10% to the numbers.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's new gear.
All the Helios shooters out there are mad at you right now, I'm sure. So I think, although I do appreciate both of these, I think since you're very firm on the new lenses, I think I'll swing that way more. I do like retro lenses kind of for screwing around, but I guess I want to put a caveat on this. It's like if I get to beta test all of Laowa's new lenses, not sponsored, but if I get to beta test Laowa's new lenses,
sponsored.
Yeah, because those are lenses that give you a new ability. So
they are.
I'm into that.
Beta testing new lenses. We're gonna have to send them a list of all of our podcasts where we mention them and be like, "Hey guys,
look at all this free marketing.
Let's do this." Everyone out there. We are going to take a quick kind of mid-roll break just to tell you this show is not sponsored in any form. We just do it because we love bringing you free content. But if you would love to give some of that love back, that was a mouthful of a sentence. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/nomcreative, as in om nom nom. There is a tip jar for $1. It just kind of helps cover our hosting costs. And yeah, every little bit is appreciated. If there are any specific things people want and we start getting a bunch of backers, I will add more tiers. But right now it's just a $1 tip jar, guilt-free ad block absolution for watching this on YouTube, or, you know, those hosting servers for the podcast. So there we go. And now, our final round before we go into round 2, meeting a photographer that you look up to or getting hired by your dream brand. I have to ask you, who would be the photographer that you're looking up to that you're meeting, and what would be your dream brand? I'll start since I'm kind of springing it on you.
Okay.
The photographer that I look up to, the two that I look up to are Joe McNally and Dave Hill. Those were, just getting started, my two biggest inspirations. And I have met Joe McNally because I went to one of his workshops, and he is a fabulous person. Getting hired by your dream brand. Honestly, I'm going to say my dream brand would probably be Adobe, just because I just love doing weird stuff, and that is both the photos and the retouching to make weird stuff. Or a camera manufacturer, I guess.
I would say the immediate photographer that comes to mind that probably stands above the rest, at least right off the bat, is Paul Nicklin, who's a wildlife photographer who's done a lot of stuff. A lot of the work he's done is for National Geographic. He's really famous for doing like under ice shoots and like really going to some like extreme places and getting shots that you literally cannot get by putting yourself in substantial personal peril. He's very famous for his leopard seal work, which leopard seals are quite intimidating animals and difficult to get to because they're in Antarctica for the most part. So I would say Paul Nicklin, just a great speaker, a great photographer, really puts himself on the line and does incredible work. For the brand, I don't know. Is it okay to say that National Geographic is a brand?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, again, in the same theme, I pretend like I want to be a wildlife photographer someday. Probably National Geographic. Just the history of that organization, not only do they continue to do good work, but the history of National Geographic and kind of the photographers and the work that has been put out over its existence has been incredible. And there's almost like no singular photographic entity that I can think of that has commanded, in my opinion, as much respect as National Geographic. So probably that. Although I hear it's an increasingly difficult and fraught with peril job these days. But yeah.
Isn't it always?
Yeah.
So would you rather meet Paul Nicklin or get hired by National Geographic? I think I would rather be hired by like Adobe than because meeting someone is very, very cool, but they're still just people versus getting to work with a brand of like, this is weird because I don't like big mega corporations, but getting to work with a brand that like speaks to you on some level, let's just assume that it's not repeated work. Let's just assume that it's just one job. Even that of like you get to immerse yourself in it and have this feeling of accomplishment and say I did it rather than I shook a person's hand, you know?
Agreed. Yeah, I would also go very solidly in the hired direction, even if that means it's a one-off. I would say that one thing that you kind of touched on that I think is interesting is they're ultimately just a person. Like I almost want Paul Nicklin to stay like this mythical figure. Like I want to just aspire to this certainly like totally unrealistic picture of who I think he is in my mind, then meet him and potentially be let down in some way. Paul Nicklin, if you ever do listen to this, I'm sure I wouldn't be let down. I'm just saying this for the sake of conversation.
All right. I like it. Moving on to round 2. Ding, 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 ding. One of these days, we're going to have a budget for special effects, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There
someday.
You go. Okay. Would you rather have a 10-stop ND filter with no color shift or win a free year of Adobe Suite?
Still ND filter.
I am also going to go ND filter. The Adobe Suite is just money, but getting an ND filter with no color shift sounds mythical to me. Yep. I've bought ND filters and the color shifts has always bugged me. But the other thing is the one time I tried buying a variable ND filter, I apparently didn't buy an expensive enough one. And it just had this really crappy moire pattern on it, which rendered it
Did it have the X
useless,
thing?
in my opinion. Yes.
Yeah, that's so annoying. I bought one recently. It was kind of mid-budget. And I thought, there's some reviews and people are like, oh, it doesn't have the X and, it's not super expensive. And I thought maybe this will be the one that isn't $1 million. No, it had the X pattern.
Yeah, of course it does. I hate that.
Like you liars.
Bonus round. Would you rather have a variable ND with no X, or would you rather have a 10-stop ND with no color shift?
I think variable ND with no X, but I do shoot a lot of video, and that's more useful for that. So that might just be my personal.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Thing speaking. But the X you can't really. Why I say that also, even if I didn't shoot a lot of video, is the X is essentially impossible to get rid of. Color shift is annoying, but sort of fixable, at least more fixable than the X is. So
true.
I see the X as like now it's useless, and color shift is like it's annoying but not useless.
I can fix it. That's very true. That's very true.
So
okay.
X for me.
Would you rather have a flawless subject that doesn't require retouching, in your case, a knife fresh off the line that has no machine marks, in my case, a model with perfect makeup, or full client control over a project? Full creative control over a project, or having a subject that requires no retouching or post-production?
I still think creative control, because I'm that kind of person. But boy, this is really close, though. I'm not sure. I could almost go either way on this one, because having any kind of subject being flawless is such a rare and treasured thing. I'm not sure.
Right?
I get an increasingly, thankfully I'm lucky in that I get an increasing amount of creative control nowadays. So maybe I need to value the subject more. That's
Full
more
full
ephemeral.
creative control is great, but one of the things that I recognize when I don't have a box is if someone gives you a box with these limitations and you have to think inside the box, even if it's kind of like, hey, we trust you, do the thing, but here's all your parameters. I find it way easier to be creative to solve that problem versus full creative control of like, okay, where do I start? What do I do? I don't even know. Of like, that's almost like inhibiting to me. I would rather have a flawless subject.
Yeah, I think you and I are slowly convincing myself to go the other way. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, yeah, but creative control isn't all it's cracked up to be.
I mean, creative control is phenomenal, and that's one of the reasons I love weddings, because people hire me to be a wedding photographer because I have a special thing, and they're just like, hey, I love your portfolio, do the thing. Versus whenever I work for a company, the company is like, hey, this is what we want. You're gonna have 4 revisions after.
Yeah. I think we can give this to flawless subject. I think
close.
I can be. I think it's close, but I can be convinced.
Full creative control is phenomenal, but having a flawless subject that you can just post and be done with, chef's kiss.
For sure.
Okay. Let's see. Winning a photo contest or having the time to go take landscape photos.
Wow, another really close one for me.
I'm edging towards having the time to go take landscape photos, because while winning a contest is nice, like the last time I won a contest was like 2016, just because I don't apply to contests very often. And again, it's one of those ephemeral, fleeting things. And if you're not constantly winning contests over and over and over, no one cares. And if they're not high profile, no one cares. Let's assume that it even is a high profile one, like almost Pulitzer level.
But
like,
you can't.
Would you rather win that or go have time to just like relax and do something you enjoy?
You can't really buy time. I think I would still go time.
I'm still going time.
Yeah, it's as much as validation is nice and on some level important in a creative field. Time is essentially invaluable. So
it's the one thing you can't get back.
Exactly. So yeah, let's do time.
All right. Beta testing Laowa's new lenses. We just decided it's
changed.
Laowa now. It used to be from your favorite manufacturer. No, we both agreed it's Laowa. They make a new probe lens that's like a periscope.
Yeah.
That's
I'd like to
neat.
test that.
Although I would also need a full motion control rig, because I'm finding these slider shots to be very difficult to pull off. Even more so once you're putting a bunch of really tiny things and having whatever. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yes. Beta testing Laowa's new lenses, or getting hired by your dream brand.
Ooh, dream brand. That's easier.
Dream brand.
Yeah. I think so.
Beta testing the new lenses has died now.
I love you, Laowa, but I mean, unless you're hiring me to shoot with your new lenses for your brand, then sure, then we can do both at once. But
I can get on board that. I can get on board with that. Fun story. I said Adobe is my dream brand. Did you know I almost got hired by Adobe?
No.
I went to a job fair, and I was a senior in college. I go to a job fair. I hand in a resume. I stand in line. I talk with the recruiter for like 30 seconds in this very long line of many other people who also want to hand in resumes. And I get a call back, and they're like, hey, your resume was amazing and incredible and stood out among everyone else. We want you. And I was like, yes. And my resume was formatted like an infographic. It was not a resume. Like high school counselor would have yelled at me to like, no, you can't do this. This is not a resume. But I did it anyway, and they gave me a call. They're like, cool. So what is your MySQL database experience? And I'm like, none. I do photography and graphic design. Oh, well, what's your computer science degree specialty? And I'm like, none. Photography and graphic design.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't really need that right now, but we'll keep you in mind. Click, and I never heard from them again.
Yeah.
Womp womp womp.
Too
And
much
on that cherry note,
too much of a tech company and too little of a photography company nowadays, I guess.
it is true. With all the new algorithms and stuff, they're very much going into tech. I have a second fun story.
Yeah.
All of the HDR presets in Photoshop, the HDR function is incredibly good, but all of the presets are incredibly bad because the person who made the presets was just a developer with zero photography experience who just like at the last minute, because they had to like put out the thing, he's like, yeah, I can make some presets, and he just fiddled with some sliders. They're like, there you go. These are some good presets.
Nice.
So it is powerful. Just don't use the built-in presets. Do it yourself. Anyway, okay,
no.
going in,
Yes.
round 3. Okay, would you rather have a 10-stop ND filter with no color shift or a flawless subject that requires no retouching?
These are both mythical now.
These are both mythical now. The two mythical items. I often find myself when I'm trying to get that really creamy kind of like landscape type look. I cannot, even with my ND filters and stopping down as long as my camera can go, I cannot get enough of an exposure to be able to make that happen. So I think at this point I'd rather have the 10 stop with no color shift because I can do the retouching, but that kind of allows you to do some type of landscape and creative photos that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Yeah, similarly, like I think the ND filter is so mythical, it just slightly edges it out. You're right. It's kind of, there's been a couple of these points I think in the bracket so far where it's like, yeah, I can do the work with the other option, but this option is like impossible to achieve.
It is very impossible.
I think we're gonna have to give it to the filter because I don't see a. I don't.
I agree.
It's just too. It's too exceptional.
Too mythical. It doesn't
it's
exist.
too mythical.
Hey, if you have used a 10-stop ND filter with zero color shift, leave a comment. I'd love to see it, and we'll review it.
Yep. Or a variable ND with no X.
Ooh,
Please
variable
let us
ND
know.
with no X. Yeah, if I can freaking afford to review that one, I will. It will happen. Our final matchup in round 3. Would you rather have the time to go take landscape photos or get hired by your dream brand?
Oh no. You can't make me choose.
I'm not a huge landscape guy. I would rather take the brand job.
Boy, I really like my nature stuff, but Dream Brand is
Your dream brand is landscape photos.
well, animals, but I mean it could be landscapes, but I would say I think Dream Brand, as much as we have said so many times that time is not purchasable, maybe in this case it is. Like if you're buying your if you're being purchased away from your time with your dream brand, that might be worth it. So I don't know, there's just something I like when you're probably gonna get more time, being realistic, right? You're probably gonna get more time sometime. But dream brand might be a once in a lifetime shot.
It's true. It might. Again, we're getting into that mythical territory.
Yeah,
Having extra
yeah.
time on your hands, that is impossible. That never happens.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I have to agree with you, dream brand, even though I really want to have the time.
Okay, so getting a mythical 10-stop ND filter with absolutely no color shift, or I'm going to throw in the variable ND filter with no X. Both of those. It's a bonus. You get both those things. Or get hired by your dream brand.
I mean, they're both impossible.
They're essentially
To be extremely
duking it
depressing.
out in the championship here. Getting the mythical item that will never happen, or getting the mythical job that will essentially never happen. Not saying you can't.
How about we count down so that we don't color each other's opinions? Let's do 3, 2, 1, and then say which one.
Okay.
Say either filter or a dream job. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
3,
2, 1. Dream
job.
Okay.
Hey!
We agree. Nice.
Yeah, because I have some really cool photography toys, and I don't nearly have the time to, like, let's just take the Laowa Probe lens, for example. It's really cool, and I haven't used it nearly as much as I should. I bought a cool thing last Black Friday, and when I say last, I mean 2020 Black Friday. It's still in the box because I haven't had the time to do it. Like, this year I got a new studio and have been doing a lot of construction and, COVID and energy and all of that. But yeah, just because I get this cool mythical thing that doesn't exist, just because I got the ND filter doesn't mean I'm going to have the time to go take landscapes with it.
Should have prioritized time. Yeah.
All right. So the winner of this quarter quell of the Photo Op podcast is getting hired by your dream brand.
Boy, although considering how close it got, if somebody wants to sink a huge amount of money into developing a mythical filter, you're going to sell a lot of them.
You're going to sell so many. Yeah, I know a certain YouTuber has come out with his own personally branded variable ND filter. But it's ridiculously expensive, and I don't know if I want to actually buy it to test to see if it actually gives you the X.
Yeah, I've looked at it a couple times, but
it's just way too much, and I don't need one
so
that
much,
badly.
And I don't trust. I want to believe, but I don't trust that it won't have the X.
My favorite videographer that I work weddings with has a fleet of cameras, and each one has kind of like an all-in-one zoom lens, a A7 III body, and one of the very expensive variable NDs on it, so that he can basically shoot everything all day. And he's like, yeah, every single one of these setups is like 10 grand, and I have multiples of them because I need 3 cameras per wedding, and I shoot multiple weddings a day, sometime with more teams. I'm like, oof. Oof.
Yeah, I should say caveat, if you make that filter, then it should be like $100, and then you'll sell a lot of them. Otherwise, people like us will be like, I don't know, it's kind of expensive.
When it's like almost $1,000, you're like, I'd rather pay rent. Yeah. I'm good. All right, well, for all of you listening, we just wanted to do something kind of fun and out of the norm to celebrate our 75th episode. Hunger Games immediately came to mind because, sure, why not? The world is a dystopian hellscape. End it with something positive. Positive thing here.
Yeah, and definitely share if you followed along with us and have differing opinions on what should have won. Let us know. What do you think should have won? Or
there it is.
Did you agree with us?
Yeah, let us know what you think should have won, and we'll hit you with more tips and news and all kinds of fun discussion stuff next time. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@photo-op.show.
Watch us on Ben's YouTube channel at NomCreative.
As in Om Nom Nom.
Share this with a friend, and you can listen to Photo Op anywhere podcasts are sold.
Or download it. 'Cause it's free.